The situation at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant remains unclear to all. The old sarcophagus, which is hidden under the new confinement arch, is barely living out its last days. According to the documents, the old shelter must be officially dismantled by 2023. The dismantling of the old sarcophagus was affected by the coronavirus and more, because at that time 2019, 2020 and 2021 the borders were closed, due to which the supply of construction materials from abroad stopped. However, despite everything, workers continue to support the plant with all their might. Because of the current situation, the Chernobyl zone has become dangerous in its own way, because not far from the sarcophagus there is a spent nuclear fuel storage site, abbreviated to SCOIT. In this video, however, let's try to discuss, when will the old shelter facilities be dismantled, or how long will this dismantling take? Let's get started. It is already 2023, and the sarcophagus has not yet been dismantled. All the experts at the Chernobyl plant have said that the old sarcophagus will be dismantled by 2023 100%. But how can such a huge radioactive object be dismantled so quickly? It's not like a garage to be dismantled for a car, but an entire large building 5 stories high. But, again, we are not talking about time now, but about danger. Had it not been for the radiation-soaked walls, roofs, and soil of the old shelter facility, this sarcophagus would have been dismantled back in 1986. We had enough of the first catastrophe and, God forbid, the second. Because during disassembly, radioactive particles of radiation will fly and rise upwards and become a danger to the environment. Now let's dig deeper as of today. The arch object is a real complexity in terms of engineering. The project consists of many facilities, which are an entire complex to transform the old sarcophagus into an environmentally safe system. The main and basic task of the new safe confinement is to seal and limit the radiation impact of the shelter facility on the personnel, part of the population, and, eventually, on the environment. Simply put, if any collapse of the unstable building structures of the first sarcophagus occurs and a field lift with a high concentration of highly radioactive dusts is formed, it will all remain under the sealed dome. What our tourists usually see when they are on the observation deck opposite the NSC is by no means everything. If you look at the technical documentation of this giant in section, you can see that the arch has 2 shells, external and internal. This is necessary so that dry and warm air can be supplied between its walls throughout its entire service life. In this way, an overpressure will be created between the environment and the interior of the confinement. Firstly, such actions can prevent radioactive dust from escaping from under the arch into the environment. Secondly, the warm, dry air will provide the ability to prevent condensation and, as a result, prevent corrosion on the metal parts of the arch structure. In addition to being completely sealed, the confinement enclosure can withstand a variety of external loads, such as strong gale force winds, tornadoes, dynamic and static loads from snow. It is also impact resistant. In a sense, we can say that under the dome of the arch should create its own atmosphere with its own temperature regime. In order to ensure the safety of the future work of dismantling the old sarcophagus, complex and modern fire extinguishing systems and a huge mass of different sensors are installed inside the arch. These sensors are designed to monitor the radioactive situation, control aerosols and releases of radioactive material. The NSC also has a fully integrated control system that includes ventilation systems, water supply and sewerage systems, including liquid radioactive waste management, seismic monitoring systems, and much more. Among other things, it is important to say that the dismantling of the old sarcophagus structures will be performed remotely using robotics in the form of 2 overhead cranes with a lifting capacity of 100 tons each, installed under the ceiling of the arch. Each crane has 2 carts with a lifting capacity of 50 tons each and also has the ability to install a working arm of a manipulator arm. With the help of this manipulator, cutting, crushing and gripping of the dismantled structures of the sarcophagus will be carried out in the future. After dismantling the structure of the shelter, the extracted fuel debris and all construction debris under the sarcophagus will be moved to a special site for fragmentation, which is located there under the arches. After fragmentation and sorting, all previously removed elements will be sent for further burial. Dismantling the sarcophagus will certainly raise dust accumulated on its walls and roof containing radioactive particles. However, according to Alexander Novikov, Deputy Technical Director for Safety at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, these emissions can be minimized. A special system is used inside the shelter that sprays a special solution that attracts radioactive particles, preventing them from moving freely under the sarcophagus. Only a small amount of dust can escape from it. But a closed ventilation system, installed during the construction of the MCC, will most likely be used to quickly clean the sarcophagus area. In addition, it is likely that other decontamination systems will be used, which will be established in preparation for dismantlement. The dismantled parts are planned to be stored in a separate process room in the new containment facility. Work will be done there to break up the parts into smaller fragments, which will be placed in airtight containers and sent for burial. It is expected that all the work to dismantle the old sarcophagus should be completed by December 20, 2023, but everything under the old sarcophagus, the remains of the reactor, all kinds of technological structures, is still very dirty and dangerous. For example, the elephant foot is by far the most background particle. Specialists have not yet decided exactly how to remove it, how to extract the dirty waste from under the old sarcophagus. And most importantly, it will not be easy to find a place to bury it. It is possible that they want to do research. I mean, they have everything airtight now. Therefore, you can do the cutting of the old sarcophagus in special suits. If there is nothing there. If there is something, you can put the waste in special containers, or bury it there, or take it out somewhere. For example, the Americans completely dismantled their molten core at 3 Mile Island back in 1986. The Japanese are planning to extract thorium from the blocks in the next few years. In general, the problem of burial of spent fuel from the RMK is a very topical issue for the nuclear power industry all over the world, with no relation to Chernobyl. On the one hand, this is a standard procedure, say, in Russia. Reactors like those in Chernobyl, for example at the Leningrad, Kursk, and Smolensk nuclear power plants, are in normal operation. Accordingly, when the fuel has exhausted its service life, the first thing to do is to unload it and bury it somewhere. Nowhere in the world is spent nuclear fuel reprocessed. Spent nuclear fuel can be buried in different ways. Some use dry storage in concrete tanks, some use centralized storage. This is all quite compact, the volumes are small, but one has to keep an eye on it. Now Russia has decided to make a special storage facility for spent nuclear fuel at the mining chemical combine in Zeleznogorsk, Krasnoyarsk territory. This is the containment structure over the fourth unit of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, built by November 1986. After the explosion of the fourth row, it took 400,000 cubic meters of concrete mixture and 7,000 tons of steel structures to build the shelter. It was built in the shortest time possible in 206 days. It took 90,000 people to build it. Later the shelter was given the unofficial name sarcophagus. At the time of its construction, the service life of the structure was projected at 20 to 40 years. After construction, the sarcophagus was reinforced. Specialists assured that the sarcophagus, with proper care, would last for decades to come. Currently, due to the high degree of risk in case of destruction of the old sarcophagus, another dome, called the new object, is built over it. It is a steel structure with a base size of 260 m by 165 m and a height of 110 m, weighing 36.2 thousand tons, under which the old FACT and auxiliary structures fit. In November 2016, this shelter facility 2, or NVC, was moved out of the installation area and took up its design position above the sarcophagus. The facility was scheduled to be commissioned by November 2017. However, the date of delivery was pushed back to 2018. On July 10, 2019, the NVK was commissioned. I thank you for watching. Your support is very important to me. Your comments and thumbs up motivate me to release new videos on interesting topics. Subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the new videos.